Tonight, executions are set for 2 death row inmates, the latest from the multiple legal battles that could stop them. Plus, the search continues for the person responsible for multiple physical attacks and sexual assaults in Central Arkansas. More places now stepping up to offer self-defense classes. And the city of Little Rock has plans to fix traffic congestion on one busy West Little Rock road. Your news starts now.
This is THV11 News at 5.
Good evening. Just in tonight, the Supreme Court overturns a ruling that put executions on hold. It all centered around one of the drugs involved in the lethal injection process. Legal maneuvers stopped the first 2 on Monday. Tonight, even more legal limbo. But the Arkansas Department of Correction is still prepared to move forward. THV11's Don Scott joins us live from outside the Cummins unit with the very latest.
We are just steps away from the death chamber where both Liddell Lee and Stacy Johnson are prepared for execution tonight. It appears as though nothing is standing in the way of one of those executions happening. In fact, prison officials just told me they are ready to execute Liddell Lee at 7 p.m. unless any more legal wrangling takes place. And with more on this, Rolly Hoyt is here with me. The drug company's lawsuit today overturned, obviously, by the Arkansas State Supreme Court. So that essentially allows both of these executions to go forward, but a stay is in place for Stacy Johnson.
That's correct. There were a couple of multiple fronts that legal fights were going on today. That big one involved the drugs in this case. The drug maker, the drug supplier, asking for those drugs back and asking to stop all of the executions for everybody. Now, Stacy Johnson, he received a stay yesterday from the Arkansas Supreme Court. We've just learned within the last 15 minutes that the Supreme Court will not reconsider that decision. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge and her office had asked them to do that. So instead, now we will wait and hear from her whether or not they will push that forward to the Supreme Court in Washington. That is where most of these cases will always end up, Don. As we go into the evening, the focus now shifts from Little Rock and the state courts here in Arkansas to the National High Court in Washington, and we'll have to wait for their decisions on all of these stays and appeals as we go on into the evening.
All right, Rolly Hoyt and I will be here throughout the night bringing you the latest details. For now, we'll send things back into the studio to Denise.
Thank you both for that update. Now, Liddell Lee is expected to be executed tonight. He was convicted in the February 1993 death of 26-year-old Deborah Reese. She was found murdered in her home in Jacksonville. Reese was strangled, robbed, and beaten over 30 times with a tire tool her husband left her for protection. Lee has been on death row for 21 years. And Arkansas's Attorney General Leslie Rutledge joins us now on the very night of the planned second round of executions in Arkansas in over a decade. And we certainly appreciate you for taking your time out to join us tonight. And we just learned that the state Supreme Court will not overturn its stay for Stacy Johnson. What are your plans in this case?
Well, this time we will have to take this case back to the Supreme Court on the merits at a later date. We are planning to move forward tonight with the execution of Liddell Lee. I was extraordinarily disappointed in our Supreme Court because they had decided Stacy Johnson's case previously in 2006. The evidence has not changed, and it was 1 in 720 million that the evidence, DNA evidence, showed that it was him, and that's what this was based off of. And so for the court to take a complete 180 turn is extraordinarily disappointing. We are ready for justice to be carried out for these families. The families are ready for justice to be carried out, and for the Supreme Court to have issued that opinion without a written opinion explaining why the turnaround, why they have denied it, was disappointing for me as the Attorney General. I think disappointing for the people of Arkansas. But again, we are focused now on moving forward with Liddell Lee's execution later this evening.
Right. And are you expecting any legal battles in his case?
Well, there are currently legal battles. However, there's nothing at this time preventing the execution from moving forward. There's no stays in place for Liddell Lee. The one thing that had been in place was the McKesson lawsuit as to the drugs. The Arkansas Supreme Court removed or put a stay on that injunction that the circuit judge had said that the state could not use the drugs earlier. So that has been taken off the table. There's nothing in the way right now preventing the state of Arkansas from executing Liddell Lee.
All right, and what do you say to people who are frustrated with this legal process, who don't understand why it takes so long?
Well, it is in extraordinary circumstances when you are talking about the death penalty. However, we were prepared for these rounds of litigation. The attorneys at the AG's office have been working day and night, literally, to defend against this sort of litigation, the last-minute delays by the prisoners. But we want to see justice carried out for these families. These are sentences given to these individuals who committed heinous, horrific acts. These are sentences given to them by juries, and they have been upheld on appeal time and time again. And so these are just more delay tactics that the prisoners are putting forward, and we are prepared to handle those, and will continue to respond and be successful in court. We're disappointed today in the Supreme Court with regard to Stacey Johnson, but we're moving forward with Liddell Lee.
And long-term outlook here, are there any plans in place to ensure that these types of things don't happen again?
Well, anytime you have cases, particularly with regard to carrying out executions and these lawful sentences, again, we do expect the sort of litigation that we've seen. What we hope will happen is that the courts will uphold those convictions and adhere to the letter of the law.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you.
Attorney General Leslie Rutledge here with us tonight. We appreciate your time. And right now, a second scheduled vigil with protesters is happening right now in front of the governor's mansion. And THV11's Jamal Goss is live outside the mansion. And Jamal, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, Denise, those protesters are scheduled to arrive here shortly. I'm in front of the governor's mansion. I will say that we did see a black SUV that just circled around the governor's mansion. But other than that, there's nothing happening inside or outside of the governor's mansion. Members from the Arkansas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty said they were relieved Monday after the decisions were made to stay 2 of the executions. Right now, they're waiting for a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court on whether or not to move forward. Veranda Grassfield with the Arkansas Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty shares her thoughts on the pending lawsuits.
I think that the 2 companies coming out in support of McKesson's quest to retrieve its drugs from the state of Arkansas is a testament to the fact that drug manufacturers do not want their drugs to be used for the purposes of killing people, because they create these drugs for the purpose of healing individuals and not killing them.
She also talked about how traumatic this whole process is on the victim's family, and we are sure that the governor has left. But also on Monday, a protester showed up he shared his opinions, and we can only wait to see what tonight will bring. But for now, reporting in front of the governor's mansion, Jamal Goss for THV11 News.
All right, Jamal, thank you. And THV11 will continue to bring you both sides of this complex issue. You can watch all of our stories providing context and background on THV11.com. You can head there and click on the section Arkansas Executions. There you'll find a very detailed timeline. And don't forget to also sign up for THV11 push alerts through our mobile app. And if you like us on our THV11 Facebook page, you'll be notified with developing updates.
Another beautiful day across the state as far as the weather goes. Mainly clear skies, just a couple of clouds around here and there. But generally speaking, the rain has held off, but the rain is not that far away, actually. Take a look at the satellite radar composite. You can see the rain beginning to move into northwest Arkansas. That is along and ahead of a cold front, a very slow moving cold front that's going to move into the state tonight and tomorrow. Not a whole lot out there. There are some storms in southern Missouri and a couple of showers north of Fayetteville, and that is really about it. So hour by hour, we really don't see the rain increasing until we get well past midnight. And even then, in central Arkansas, that's a 20% chance of rain and or a thunderstorm. 20% is all we've got tonight after midnight. And then as you head into Friday afternoon and evening, well, that changes, goes up to 40% with a high of 83. Tomorrow night, some strong storms, heavy rain, and a lot of hail possible in parts of the state. We'll talk about all those details coming up in weather.
Amid 6 physical attacks and sexual assaults in North Little Rock and Sherwood, the Arkansas Armory is offering defense classes specifically for women. North Little Rock and Sherwood police still need your help tracking down the suspect. Our Bridgman Perkins here now with more.
The Arkansas Armory is offering women more than just a chance to get a concealed carry permit, but a peace of mind. The class is designed to be stress-free, and although there is a fee, ladies who are interested can receive one-on-one time with instructors on the gun range.
I'm concerned about, the safety of the people in our community.
After hearing about the attacks and sexual assaults happening in the area he lives in, Nathan House decided to get involved.
We've offered some special women's only classes.
There's no such thing as being over-prepared when it comes to your life.
Just anything that you can do in order to show that you got a little bit more fight in you.
Even if you don't own a weapon, you are welcome.
A lot of times a lady doesn't have a firearm of her own.
These special classes will include free gun rental and ammunition. Arkansas's minimum requirement is a 5-hour class.
We go over all kinds of material from prohibited places that you're not allowed to carry, other states that your license is going to work in.
House says situational awareness is a big part of learning how to not become a victim of crime. And if you're not interested in owning a gun, the options of pepper spray are endless.
All you have to do is turn the tab here and press down.
All training will be entered directly into the Arkansas State Police system, and fingerprints will be delivered for you. For more information on these classes, you can visit my Facebook page, Bridgman Perkins, THV11.
Bridgman, thank you. Today marks 18 years since one of the deadliest shootings in U.S. history, Columbine. April 20th, 1999, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold opened fire at Columbine High School. 12 students and 1 teacher killed, more than 20 others hurt. The 2 men turned the guns on themselves after carrying out the attack. More than 100 explosive devices were recovered from the scene. Well, temperatures are set to drop as rain chances linger for the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Ed Buckner has details on storms in your full forecast. Plus, some changes could be on the way in West Little Rock. Details on plans in place for traffic on Bowman and Markham. Meredith Mitchell brings us this story coming up.
Again, from the Cummins Prison Unit where the Arkansas Death Chamber sits, and 2 inmates here tonight, Stacey Johnson and Liddell Lee. Their executions were scheduled to begin at 7 o'clock tonight. The Arkansas State Supreme Court issued a stay of execution for Stacey Johnson. That means he will not be executed tonight in the killing of a DeQueen mom, Carol Heath. However, nothing right now stands in the way of the execution of Liddell Lee. He was convicted in the 1993 killing of Deborah Reese. She was beaten 36 times with a tire tool that her husband had given to her for protection. Lee has maintained his innocence but has lost his court fights so far to stop his execution. Rolly Hoyt is here with me on more of this legal wrangling.
He did indeed lose one of his appeals this morning, one that said that whether or not his appeal was timely or not. He still has a couple of other things that he wants to try and see if the Arkansas State Supreme Court will listen to. Another avenue that might get Lee saved or spared tonight would be if the United States Supreme Court takes up the case that started this all before the weekend, saying that the process of putting inmates to death here in Arkansas is unconstitutional. That was overturned soundly by the 8th Circuit Appeals Court on Monday. If the U.S. Supreme Court takes it up, that could be an avenue for him to follow. It doesn't look likely. We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, we will. And if nothing happens, at 7 p.m. an execution is planned here at the prison. He is ordering his last meal, we're told as we speak, and a news briefing is taking place with the news media and prison officials here at 5:30. We'll keep you posted on all the details here at Cummins Prison as they develop. For now, we'll send things back to you in the studio.
Don Rowley, thank you. Now, the next execution dates are set for next week. Jack Jones is convicted of murder and rape in the 1995 death of Mary Phillips and the attempted capital murder of Lacey Phillips. Marcel Williams convicted of murder, kidnapping, rape, and aggravated robbery in the 1994 death of Stacey Erickson. Also, Kenneth Williams convicted in the 1999 death of Cecil Boren after breaking out of the Cummins unit. He had been serving a sentence of life without parole in the December 98 death of a UAPB cheerleader, Dominique Hurd. More THV11 news at 5 after this. Welcome back. If you've ever been stuck in traffic at Bowman and Markham, the city is working to change that. In a few minutes, there's a public meeting to discuss adding more lanes and sidewalks. THV11's Meredith Mitchell shows us the plan.
Many drivers use this intersection to get across town, but the city of Little Rock says it needs improvement. This is a typical scene at the intersection of Markham and Bowman.
During peak hours, traffic backs quite a ways up Bowman all the way back to Maryland.
Mike Hood is the civil engineering manager for the city of Little Rock. He says an added turn lane is much needed for the four-way intersection.
For traffic that's southbound on Bowman, they'll have an opportunity to have a right turn lane to take some of that traffic away from the through lane.
Cars coming from Napa Valley will now have their own lane to turn right towards Home Depot. Another element of the project includes the construction of a new sidewalk along Markham.
And you can see when you look at it, the dirt's all wore in. People are using it. They walk that way all the time. And we're going to finish out that sidewalk as part of this project.
That project will cost around $250,000. Improvements will be done during non-peak traffic hours. In Little Rock, Meredith Mitchell, THV 11 News.
Good evening once again from Cummins Prison, where the state is preparing to carry out the execution of Liddell Lee in the killing of 26-year-old Deborah Reese back in 1993. Two inmates were scheduled for execution here tonight. Lee, along with Stacy Johnson. Johnson got a reprieve from the state Supreme Court, an hour and a half. Execution proceedings are scheduled to start here. We'll have the very latest after the CBS Evening News.
Don, thank you, and thank you for watching tonight. More news, weather, and sports coming up at 6. See you then.
Good night.
Thanks for watching THV 11 News. Stay connected to the THV Information Center 24/7 on your mobile device and with the THV 11 app for your iPad.